All right, y'all, welcome back to the booth with Dame. This is your host, Damian Garrison. We're going to be talking about day 2 of the NFL draft. We're going to start off with my team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's pretty obvious why we're starting off with them. So far, they've had one of the best drafts out of all the teams in the NFL draft so far, getting Jordan Davis in the first round out of Georgia, getting Cam Jurgens, center, going to be replacing Jason Kelsey. And then most notably drafting linebacker Nakobe Dean out of Georgia. The projected first round pick falls to the third round, 19th pick selected by Philadelphia. I think everybody was really surprised, obviously, that he fell so far. Even if it was about injury, he was one of the best players in the draft on his team in the SEC. So as I'm happy he fell to the Philadelphia Eagles because it helps my defense, which we need the help, especially at linebacker. Just a lot of head scratching, teams that pass on him, kind of pick after pick, round after round once you get into the third round. But fell to the Philadelphia Eagles, and he is finally selected. It is apparently a torn pec injury, which if you guys don't know, that is kind of like a shoulder, arm, chest kind of injury. Now, apparently, speculations say he declined to get surgery on it. Now, if anybody knows anything about surgery, depending on the severity of your injury will determine the cause whether or not you choose to get surgery. And if that is the case, if that was the injury, maybe at the time the injury occurred, and he's looking at the timeline leading up to when he's going to be potentially drafted and going to be starting camp and then starting the season, maybe he just chose to opt out of surgery and let his body heal. But I'm sure that we'll find out more reports later. Nakobe Dean himself has already spoke out saying that the reports are false about any severe injuries to himself. Obviously, other reporters are reporting that there is a severe injury. But either way, Nakobe Dean, linebacker out of Georgia, finally selected, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's a great pick, especially alongside his former teammate. I can't wait to see what happens. Even if it is an injury and he doesn't start the season right away, I'm excited. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles, after addressing the center position need, and I'm going to emphasize the need on that, because I feel like the only reason why Jason Kelsey returned is because he knew that our position at center was a huge question mark for the team, and he is a beloved Philadelphia Eagle his entire career, and this might be his last hurrah. Last year could have been his last hurrah. They gave him a nice 1 year, I think it's about $14 million contract, pretty high for a center. But either way, we have to replace him, and they're starting that process now. So, future center, going to be protecting Jalen Hurts along with the rest of that offensive line. Hopefully we'll open up for the Philadelphia Eagles offense to be explosive, having Miles Sanders come back, now having A.J. Brown at receiver, having Devontae Smith, who is an electrifying receiver, had an amazing season last year. We'll have probably an even more productive season. We still have Jalen Reagor at wide receiver at the moment. I don't know if we'll be retaining him. I know that the team has probably tried to trade him. So far in the draft, they haven't. He's still with the team. So, but anyway, Nakobe Dean to the Philadelphia Eagles, third round, 19th pick. So we're going to move on to the quarterback position. And I just want to bring this up because this has probably been one of the most notable drafts, I think, if I'm not mistaken, outside of Kenny Pickett from Pitt going to Pittsburgh in the first round. There wasn't another quarterback drafted until Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati going to the Atlanta Falcons. And then shortly after that pick, I think he was picked around 73rd. Malik Willis gets picked finally. Amazing quarterback out of Liberty, goes to the Tennessee Titans. There's some kind of reports going on about Ryan Tannehill kind of being known that they were going to be taking a quarterback, especially at Malik's type of caliber, potential starter within the next year or sooner. But I think that the Titans, made a strategic move and looked at the quarterback position. If you look at the style of quarterback that Malik Willis is and the style of quarterback Ryan Tannehill is, two totally different quarterbacks. If you look at before Ryan Tannehill, they had Marcus Mariota, which is similar to Malik Willis. And I think that they were a lot more successful with that type of quarterback. They like that top style quarterback. They have a fast-paced offense with Derrick Henry. And they've tried the experiment with Ryan Tannehill the past few seasons, and they've had success. They've been one of the most dominant teams, but when it gets down to crunch time in the playoffs, they just haven't been able to get it done. So Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, and then finally Matt Corral, quarterback from Ole Miss, going to the Carolina Panthers. So that shakes some things up because you obviously have Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, and there have been reports that apparently the Panthers are linked to possibly obtaining quarterback Baker Mayfield, the current Brown. We all know that he has shared his displeasures since the Deshaun Watson trade acquisition. So it'll be real interesting to see. It's a very crowded quarterback room now in Carolina. The quarterback room in Atlanta gets really interesting because they go from essentially no starter to acquiring Marcus Mariota, who, in my opinion, because I'm high on him, he can start and he can play at a probably pretty productive high level. But Desmond Ridder wasn't talked about a lot as he should have been in the draft. Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis kind of got the spotlight ahead of him, which is fine. But if you look at Desmond Ridder's career at Cincinnati, dude was an absolute stud, absolute winner. And I think that Atlanta got a steal in acquiring him and such a late pick. All the teams really. I feel like this draft was so unique, very defense heavy, very wide receiver heavy, which that kind of seems like the new norm. Not saying quarterback isn't still the top prize position, but if you look at the last couple of drafts, outside of a few quarterbacks going early that were, the hype was real big on them, there have been mainly defensive players and wide receivers going ahead of quarterbacks. And that just seems to be a normal trend. They're examining that position as such a high caliber position compared right next to quarterback. So there's a lot going on in the NFL draft. It's very exciting. This off season was very exciting and continues to be. It'll be real interesting to see what happens, in the remaining rounds of the draft. Baltimore has 6 fourth-round picks. They have 7 total picks, coming up, but 6 in the 4th round alone. If I'm not mistaken, that may be a record. But yeah, that's just my quick take on some of the day 2 draft moves that happened. The Philadelphia Eagles, all the quarterbacks, and it'll be exciting for day 3. We'll see what's to come. I'm sure it will be very, very exciting. This is your boy Damien with The Booth, signing off.